support or Manila dialogue this class will be also a yearly activity. And the good thing is that every year we will be doing the event. We will be translating depending on what we can. Okay. So the different countries, yeah, we're targeting according to the China to be next training. I met you on May. Probably the seats are very high.
Jen. Sir, thanks po sir. Sir, naalala ko kayo.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Manila, Philippines. In just a few moments, we'll begin our event. So we kindly ask everyone to please settle down and please take your respective seats. Thank you.
Naghahanap ako ng grupo kasi mahal.
Sir, hindi ako makatanggap na dyan. Hindi pa tayo nakikita sa village ah. Oo nga dito. Dalawa ko sa inyo dito. Saan pa?
Dito ka rin?
Saan ka? 14 na po. Dito sa amin.
Dito yung lamesa na matatalinaw. Dito yung matatalinaw. Matatalinaw. EDG or PKMS. We have EDG. Yes, EDG. Basta rin sa baba mo.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please settle down and make outside your seats as we are about to begin our meeting. Thank you so much. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very pleasant evening to all. And welcome to the Dialogue on ASEAN Maritime Security 2025. This event brings together thought leaders, policy makers, and maritime security professionals from across Southeast Asia to deepen our collective understanding and cooperation at sea. To begin our evening, may invite on stage Dr. Jeffrey Ordaniel, President and CEO of We Protect Our Seas, to deliver the agenda-setting address. Let's give him a round of applause.
National Security Advisor, Secretary Eduardo Año, Admiral Ronnie Hill Gavan, Commandant of the Philippine Coast Guard, Honorable Hamza bin Ishaq, Deputy Director General of National Security, Prime Minister's Office, Malaysia, Ambassadors, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Your Excellencies, Honorable members of our armed services, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Manila. Welcome to the 2025 Dialogue on ASEAN Maritime Security. At the Manila Dialogue on the South China Sea last year, the Philippines' National Security Advisor, Secretary Año, said, and I quote, "The so-called rules-based international order may be an aspiration for some, but it's a principled aspiration for a world that is more just, more peaceful, and more prosperous." Obviously, many things have happened since the Manila Dialogue in November, and I have noticed since then that political analysts and international relations experts who still reference the so-called rules-based order today are seen as naive or no longer attuned with the current geopolitical reality and changing security environment. But I dare say that Secretary Año's principled approach of fostering a more rules-based international order remains relevant, especially here in Southeast Asia. It is no surprise, therefore, that every ASEAN document up to this day still reference our region's collective aspirations for a rules-based order. A recent statement by the chair of the ASEAN Foreign Ministers Retreat in Malaysia said this: "We are convinced that ASEAN can play a greater role in fostering a stable and predictable environment through adherence to the principles of international law. We," referring to the foreign ministers of ASEAN member states, "reaffirmed our steadfast commitment to an ASEAN-centered, open, inclusive, transparent, and rules-based regional architecture that upholds international law." Ladies and gentlemen, that persistent pursuit of rules-based order amidst the changing geopolitical and security landscape is an expression of the region's desire for strategic autonomy and agency. It's not US-China strategic competition, it's not great power competition, but it's our interest. And so that's one of the main thrusts we have in organizing this dialogue. That remains to be the thrust of our efforts at WPS. Key to championing a principled approach to maritime governance is transparency, not just in exposing bad behavior at sea, but also in fostering a common operating picture and a clearer understanding of the true sources of threats, security threats, environmental threats, and economic threats in our part of the world. Transparency allows for the building of reasonable, data-driven consensus on what needs to be done individually and collectively by members of ASEAN. And of course, I recognize there are legitimate arguments against the transparency approach, just like there are those who think we should all get real and get past the rules-based order refrain. And we can certainly have those open, constructive debates in this dialogue. So we can generate insights that can help inform our government's policies and ASEAN's maritime security mechanisms. and that is one value of this dialogue. We are honored to have assembled a multidisciplinary group of experts, analysts, scientists, and officials from all 10 members of ASEAN to this dialogue. Our task over the next 2 days is to have an honest conversation about so many issues relevant to maritime governance in our part of the world. And just like the Manila dialogue, our only request for participants is to refrain from using academic jargons or terminologies and abstract terms and phrases like maintaining equidistance or omnidirectional foreign policy or maritime hedging, because those are nice words we often see in journals, but let's keep our conversations real, specific, and actionable, because policymakers, practitioners, and the general public will be tuning in. Before I end, let me just briefly introduce our organization, We Protect Our Seas, or WPS, a non-profit, non-government, non-partisan, volunteer-based organization that seeks to advance principled approaches to resolving disputes in the South China Sea, promoting marine environmental protection and scientific research in the broader maritime Southeast Asia, and fostering a free, open, and rules-based regional maritime order in the process. To do so, we seek to work with governments, academia, and industry from around the region and globally in convening Track 1.5 and Track 2 dialogues in the region, as well as commissioning research work, not just in the areas of public policy, but also marine environmental and scientific research to enable data or evidence-driven recommendations. On that note, I'm excited to announce 3 of our upcoming efforts. First, over the next couple of months, we will be fostering a network of marine biologists, coral reef experts, and other scientists from around the world, particularly here in Southeast Asia, so we can pursue collaborative field research on many issues relevant to maritime governance. We will be counting on your support as we grow that network. Second, WPS will soon be serving as the Philippine Committee for the Council for Security Cooperation in the Asia-Pacific, or CSCAP, an informal mechanism for scholars, officials, in their private capacities to discuss political and security issues and challenges facing the region. Since 1993, CSCAP workshops have helped inform the agenda of the ASEAN Regional Forum and other ASEAN processes. We are honored to be part of the biggest Track 2 think tank network in the region. Finally, WPS is the coordinating organization for the Manila Dialogue on the South China Sea, our flagship Track 1.5 event, the second iteration of which is scheduled for November 5 to 7 this year. The Manila Dialogue provides an opportunity for government officials from across the Indo-Pacific region to meet and discuss issues not only during plenary sessions, but perhaps most significantly, during their private side meetings. Of course, experts will also be around to debate issues and share insights. Some ambassadors and other representatives of many governments joined us last November. I hope that you found value in that effort. Our team has started reaching out to many stakeholders, many of you in the room now. So let me just take this opportunity to personally appeal to our good friends from the diplomatic community and also from other institutions. If you believe in the value of our efforts, please support the convening of the Manila Dialogue on the South China Sea this November so we can bring more participants, officials, strategic thinkers, Coast Guard and Navy officers, and other experts from around the world or from more countries, and together advance the cause of peace in the West Philippine Sea, in the South China Sea, and the rest of maritime Southeast Asia. Before I hand over the mic to our distinguished speakers, let me just take this opportunity also to thank our National Security Advisor, Secretary Anyo, Admiral Ronnie Gavan, Commodore J. Tariela, Commodore Nelson Timbang, other PCG officers, and all our partners in the Philippine government for making this dialogue happen. Also, special thanks to Daniela Braun of CAS Philippines, who will be leading discussions on submarine cables on Friday, to Pacific Forum's Young Leaders Program that has sponsored about 10 emerging maritime leaders from across Southeast Asia to come to this dialogue, to YCAPS and our small team of hardworking WPS staff, Katrina, Mary, Kwan, and Mikal. I look forward to productive 2 days ahead, and so thank you very much for joining us. Good evening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ordaniel. Now to give his welcome remarks and to introduce our keynote speaker, please welcome the Commandant of the Philippine Coast Guard, Admiral Ronhi Latorilla Gavan. A round of applause, please.
Our guest of honor and speaker, who will be properly introduced later. Excellencies, who will also be properly recognized later. Distinguished guests and participants from all over the region, from across different disciplines, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is an honor and privilege to welcome you to this gathering dedicated to our shared vision of free, open, secure, and rules-based maritime order in Southeast Asia. This dialogue serves as a valuable platform for the exchange of ideas and experiences, bringing together diverse perspectives united by a common purpose to address the challenges that seize the opportunities within maritime domain or the maritime domain of our region. Over the next 2 days, we will explore pressing issues that transcend our borders. Among them, cooperation on maritime security, conflict prevention, sustainable governance, and the collective pursuit of lasting peace and stability across Southeast Asian waters. As we navigate this shared journey, we are fortunate to have a lineup of distinguished speakers, panelists, and participants whose expertise and perspectives will enrich our discussions. Your presence here underscores the importance of dialogue and partnership in shaping a maritime future that benefits us all. On behalf of the organizing committee, I extend our sincerest gratitude for your participation today. I am confident that the ideas shared here will not only inspire meaningful change, but also lead to actionable solutions that extend far beyond this room and endure well into the future. While our nations may face distinct realities, we are tied by the maritime spaces that connect us. It is through sustained cooperation and shared sense of responsibility that we can turn common challenges into opportunities for collective progress. This dialogue is a chance to shape a legacy of mutual understanding and collaboration that will guide our region toward lasting peace and stability for generations to come. Again, welcome to our beautiful city of Manila. Mabuhay po tayong lahat. Now, please allow me to do my real job tonight, the hardest one. You see, they have to play music to make us all relax. But without further ado, it is my distinct privilege and honor to introduce our keynote speaker for tonight's gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished speaker has built an outstanding career in public service. He is a member of the Philippine Military Academy Matikas class of 1983. He graduated cum laude, and he is a recipient of 2 PMA Cavalier Awards, the highest award the Academy gives to its alumni. Throughout his military career, he held intelligence and leadership positions, including commander of the Intelligence and Security Group of the Philippine Army and the chief of the Intelligence Service of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. He also served as the commander of the 10th Infantry Division, and in 2015, he became the 57th Commanding General of the Philippine Army, and a year later, he became the 48th Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, where he oversaw the hardest military operations we had so far, the Battle of Marawi in Mindanao. After his time with the Armed Forces, he continued his public service as Secretary of the Interior and Local Government from 2018 to 2022, where he campaigned for good governance, and he led the critical responses we had during the COVID-19 pandemic. He now serves as the National Security Advisor appointed with the President in 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, the Honorable Secretary Eduardo Manahan-Año, the National Security Advisor, Republic of the Philippines.
Please take your seat. Thank you very much, Admiral Ronnie Gaban, for that introduction. Excellencies of the Diplomatic Corps, Her Excellency Larry Bopils, Ambassador of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Her Excellency Hai Kyong-yu, Ambassador of Australia, Her Excellency Marielle Joriats, Ambassador of Netherlands, His Excellency David Hartman, Ambassador of Canada, His Excellency Christian Lister, Ambassador of Norway, Her Excellency Raduta Dana Matache, Ambassador of Romania, His Excellency Abdul Malik Melvin Castellino, Ambassador of Malaysia, Her Excellency Megawati Binti Dato Paduka Haji Manan, Ambassador of Brunei, Her Excellency Constance C., Ambassador of the Republic of Singapore, His Excellency Sang Wali, Ambassador of the Republic of Korea, His Excellency Dr. Andreas Michael Papernoski, Ambassador of Federal Republic of Germany, Her Excellency Marie Fontanelle, Ambassador of the French Republic, His Excellency Dr. Bin Lai, Ambassador of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, His Excellency Kazuya Endo, Ambassador of Japan, His Excellency Adam Tugyo, Advisor to the Minister on Political, Legal, and Security Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Republic of Indonesia, Mr. Hamza bin Ishak, Deputy Director General of National Security Council, Prime Minister Department of Malaysia, Yusek Alexander Lopez of the National Maritime Council, Admiral Ronnie Hill Gaban, Commandant of the Philippine Coast Guard, Dr. Jeffrey Ordaniel, Director of Maritime Programs Pacific Forum, Ms. Danielle Brown, KAS Philippines, Professor Victor Andres Dindo Manhit, Strat-Based Institute, Dr. Prashant Parameswaran, founder ASEAN Wonk Newsletter, Rear Admiral Roy Trinidad, Commodore J. Tariela, Commodore Nelson Timbang, former Chief of Staff Manny Bautista, sir, Chair, panelists, and participants of the dialogue on the ASEAN Maritime Security, officials and representatives from the Philippine national government agencies present, friends from the private sector, academia and media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. At the Manila Dialogue on the South China Sea last November, officials and experts from various nations strongly supported advancing a rule-based maritime order. There was clear consensus on resolving maritime disputes through international law and respecting existing mechanisms like the 2002 Declaration on the Conduct of Parties, the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea remains the foundation of global maritime governance, with ASEAN member states continuing to benefit from its equitable rules and cooperative frameworks. Being in ASEAN, we are no stranger to a consensus-based approach to regional governance. Consensus is an important element of the so-called ASEAN Way, through which we foster cooperation, resolve disputes, and engage with broader international community as a bloc. It should be noted that the 1982 UNCLOS itself was achieved through consensus. Sure, it was a product of difficult compromises, with at least 160 sovereign states bargaining, arguing, and trading rights and obligations regarding the waters around them and beyond for over a decade. But over 4 decades since, and many maritime disputes later, the convention persists and is widely respected. And we, here in ASEAN, should be the strongest defender of that consensus, that we no longer want to go back to the time when might is right. In the region, however, this consensus anchored on the ASEAN centrality that we must collectively weave to build our resilience has sometimes become an instrument of inaction and inertia. Even more concerning, the search for consensus has become an obstacle to arrive at important and unified mechanisms that should be our armor in collectively resolving a wide range of regional issues. This is the reason why dialogue such as this is very important. Through events like this, we aim to go back to the very core and very reason of building such consensus and centrality. Despite varying stakes and positions in the South China Sea over the years, after all, our ability to manage the conflicts in our maritime environment determines to a large extent the relevance of ASEAN in our everyday life. While discussions often focus on South China Sea geopolitics, it is important to remember that Southeast Asia is a vast maritime region. From the Malacca Strait to the Andaman Sea, maritime issues impact the region's political, economic, environmental, and security affairs. Environmental concerns, particularly the health of our marine ecosystems, are inseparable from security and economic issues. I am encouraged that this year's dialogue on ASEAN Maritime Security includes sessions on the marine environment, and I look forward to your data-driven insights and practical recommendations. The agenda of the dialogue indeed highlights a sobering reality. Fish stocks in Southeast Asian waters have declined by up to 90% since the 1950s, with catch rates dropping by 66 to 75% over the past 2 decades. Human activities such as illegal giant clam harvesting, dredging, and the construction of artificial islands have severely damaged over 160 square kilometers of coral reefs. It is critical that we identify the key factors driving the collapse of fish stocks and marine biodiversity so that ASEAN member states can address these issues both individually and collectively. After all, the region's food security and the livelihood of millions of ASEAN citizens who depend on fishing for their income are at stake. ASEAN must then take concrete and decisive steps to protect the rights and safety of our fishermen in our respective exclusive economic zone. To achieve this, we must not only ensure clarity regarding our maritime entitlements, but also work on the three core processes that drive the advancement of maritime security and maritime economy by harnessing, securing, and sustaining our maritime environment. By exploring and developing their potentials, protecting and preserving resources and territories, fostering growth of natural resources and enterprises, promoting sustainable use, developing and institutionalizing governance, and fortifying competitive advantage, we can responsibly steward our resources, ensuring that we meet our needs for today and we preserve what the future generations deserve. Not only is our maritime environment being put at a great peril, but even other aspects of security that wholly affect the ASEAN in many different ways. When we do not put our efforts together to resolve these threats, when we do not trudge the same direction to enforce a code of conduct that is supposed to guide and govern us, our inactions will put us at greater risk, affecting not just regional but even the world order. For instance, rising tensions in the West Philippine Sea and the greater South China Sea have brought to the fore the difficulty of maintaining a peaceful and rule-based maritime order in the region. We believe that it is important first for the ASEAN to seek common grounds in terms of addressing and managing these challenges. While there are unsettled differences among claimant countries and even for those non-claimant states, it is imperative that we make these conversations inter-ASEAN countries first. From there, we can move up to higher grounds of discussions that involve other states until we reach a more encompassing, acceptable, and recognizable ASEAN consensus. Aside from these, hybrid threats have also emerged across Southeast Asia, which led to the collapse of boundaries of war and peace. They have started to target vulnerabilities of our nations, undermining national and regional stability. Cyber attacks, information manipulation, malign influence, foreign interference, and coercive diplomacy, among other forms, which are by far more difficult to manage and counter than traditional warfare. Addressing this requires a unity of purpose among us, a stronger force of nations that could promptly and effectively counter them. The seas are inherently connected. I commend the agenda of this dialogue for highlighting the interconnectedness of Southeast Asia's marine ecosystems, where ocean currents carry both marine life and pollutants across national borders. In upholding the 1982 UNCLOS, we must also honor its mandate to protect and preserve the marine environment. However, meaningful regional cooperation to address marine environmental challenges must begin with identifying, through sound scientific data, the key drivers of marine degradation in Southeast Asian waters. I look forward to learning more about existing and potential ASEAN mechanisms that support marine environmental protection, as well as hearing your ideas and policies that can empower ASEAN institutions to tackle the root causes of this degradation. I also acknowledge the goal of this dialogue to tackle other equally crucial fronts of security, including energy security, confidence-building measures, risk reduction, subsea cables, and strengthening regional Coast Guard cooperation. Discussing this on such a higher level of discourse with ASEAN help us prevent disruptions in financial, transportation, trade, communications, among other aspects which we, as a regional bloc, deeply share and highly benefit from. I say then that we must be one in confronting them, because when we move together collectively, we are able to move mountains. Ladies and gentlemen, what is often referred to as the rule-based international order may be seen by some as merely aspirational. Yet it is an aspiration rooted in principles and progress, one that envisions a world that is more just, more peaceful, and more prosperous. The Philippines takes pride in having utilized the arbitration mechanism under Annex 7 of the 1982 UNCLOS, contributing to a peaceful and law-based approach to resolving disputes in the South China Sea. We are grateful to many of our ASEAN partners who continue to stand firmly in support of the rule of law. For the Philippines, UNCLOS and the 2016 Arbitral Award remain the twin cornerstone of our country's foreign policy approaches to regional maritime order. With the same deep commitment to international law, we are actively working towards an effective code of conduct in the South China Sea. Even if negotiations are moving at a glacial pace, we must ensure that the COC's provisions align fully with international law, particularly the 1982 UNCLOS. Any proposal or attempt to exclude, sideline, or create exemptions to UNCLOS and the broader framework of international law in the proposed COC mechanism reflects a lack of genuine intent and sincerity. ASEAN must remain steadfast and committed to the rule of law in the ongoing negotiations. Upholding the rules and norms in Southeast Asian waters and ensuring that littoral states continue to enjoy their maritime rights and entitlements under international law is not about choosing sides in the so-called great power rivalry. Framing our maritime concerns as mere consequences of this strategic competition dismisses the agency of regional actors, undermines the importance of the rule of law, and may even reflect a self-serving attempt to push out a geopolitical rival in pursuit of regional dominance. Ladies and gentlemen, the real decision before us is about the kind of maritime order we want in our region, one grounded in international law or one dictated by might. In the face of the ongoing illegal, coercive, aggressive, and deceptive actions occurring almost daily in the South China Sea, it is essential for regional states and the international community to reaffirm their commitment to the letter and spirit of UNCLOS. While policymakers, diplomats, and political leaders often invest significant time and energy exploring alternative governance frameworks to curb maritime tensions, we sometimes overlook the fact that such a framework already exists. What is needed now is not a new system, but the resolve to defend, uphold, and enforce the one we already have. I extend my sincere thanks to the organizations and individuals who made this inaugural dialogue a reality. I offer my congratulations in advance to the lead convener of this dialogue, the Pacific Forum headed by Dr. Jeffrey or Daniel, for bringing together such a distinguished assembly of experts, academics, scientists, and officials from all 10 ASEAN member states. We also gratefully acknowledge the support of our partner institutions who helped make this event possible, including KAS Philippines, Strat-Based Institute, the Pacific Forum Young Leaders Program, which brought a vibrant group of emerging Southeast Asian experts, YCAPS, and others. My deepest appreciation also goes to the PCG West Philippine Sea Transparency Group, the Philippine Coast Guard, and to my team at the National Security Council for their dedicated efforts. Thank you all for making this important dialogue a success. The National Security Council is honored to support the convening of the 2025 Dialogue on ASEAN Maritime Security, and we look forward to its contributions in forming the upcoming Manila Dialogue on the South China Sea this November. And as the Philippines prepares for its chairmanship of the ASEAN next year, I hope that this platform presents us all an opportunity where we can discuss and put together the agenda that we will put forward during the regional gathering. Once again, thank you very much and a pleasant evening to everyone.
Thank you, Secretary Anyo, for the insightful message. Ladies and gentlemen, dinner is now being served. So please enjoy your meal as we are about to continue this evening event.
In the meantime, while having our sumptuous dinner, we invite you to prepare for the evening's feature discussion, Transparency at Sea, a fireside discussion. And now, we respectfully request our distinguished guests to be on stage.
Guard Admiral Ronhil Latorilla Gavan, Philippine Coast Guard. His Excellency Adam Tugyo, Advisor to the Minister on Political, Legal, and Security Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Republic of Indonesia. Honorable Hamza bin Ishak, Deputy Director General of National Security, Security Management, National Security Council, Prime Minister's Department, Malaysia. And to moderate this important conversation, please welcome Dr. Prashant Parameswaran, founder of the ASEAN Wonk newsletter. Let's give them a round of applause. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your sumptuous dinner first before we begin or start our next discussion. Thank you.
Ito, sige. I-drum ko na lang ba? Para JPEG na. Kasi oh, saan yung mga raw? Ito yung JPEG. Yung JPEG ko naman. Ito JPEG na ako. Raw plus JPEG ka doon? Oo. Asan yung raw? Ito yung raw. JPEG na kaya. Tapos wag mo na mag-raw. JPEG na. Sige, sige. Ay, i-dump mo na. Ay, sige, sa bagay na yun. Ito okay na to, di ba? Oh, dami. Dami. Hindi ko na kasi
Feel ka ba naman kasi punta ka magkakausap sila? Si Dr. J. Si Dr. J pumalit. Sabi ni Dr. J, si Commodore siguro.
simple.